A lot of people ask me what makes dynamic meditation different or unique from other types of meditation. And the first thing I like to say is that in many ways it's very similar because it's my belief that every path is leading us basically to the same place. We all want the same thing. We want to be happier, we want to feel more peaceful, we want to feel like our life is getting better. Um, And meditation is certainly a very powerful way to do that. So, a good example that I give is dynamic meditation as a garden. And the way that it's similar is that, like in the Buddhist tradition with mindfulness, which is a very big word these days, is the first step in dynamic meditation is that we do sit and practice in front of the garden. And very much like in the tradition of mindfulness or vipassana meditation, we just observe it. And the practice of observing the garden, and the garden being what's going on inside of us, our reactions, our feelings, our thoughts, becoming the observer of our internal world, i.e., the garden, is a very powerful practice. Because as we become the observer, we can actually pause our reactions. And when we can pause, or what I call the sacred pause, when we can pause our reactions, then it provides us with choice. So the 3 P's, right? We pause, we have power, and then we have possibility. And the possibility is that through our new choice, we can create a new life. Because our life is created from our choices. So that's step 1, that is similar to all other meditations. We become the observer, only the observer. And we accept the garden with its flowers and with its weeds exactly as it is. Step 2 is that we actually go in and weed the garden. Now, this is one of the places that I do find unique about dynamic meditation. We do go in and actively and intentionally, with purpose, pull up on negative feelings and thoughts. And what I mean by that is that in our courses or when we practice or in the different meditations that I teach, I actually ask each practitioner to go to a place that is painful, that is difficult, where they worry, let's say around money or around your children or around a certain relationship. I actually lead you there. I ask you to go there. Sometimes in the first step of meditation, we just let up whatever's coming up in the moment, and that's when we just observe whatever's coming up in the moment. Now, we do that in dynamic meditation. We look at what's coming up in the moment because usually that has some unconscious process to it, and we want to look at that. But in step 2, we go into the garden. In other words, we go into our internal experience, and we actually pull up what gets in the way. So let's say when I do the love workshop or the money workshop or the body workshop, what we're doing in those workshops is we're going to very specific areas of our lives where we have painful thinking or negative thinking or noisy thinking, as we call it, right? Because the whole idea is to get to a quiet mind. Noisy thinking around these issues, relationships, work, money, body, children, family. And we actually do intense work of going in, of looking at memories, of looking at sensations, and we apply a meditation or several of them to let those negative feelings, those noisy feelings go. Okay? And that's the idea in dynamic meditation, that over time, by releasing those exact reactions is what quiets our mind and makes space for new thinking. which actually leads us into step 3 of the garden. And again, so dynamic meditation takes all of these steps, okay, and puts them together. In step 3 of the garden, we actually go in after we've weeded and we plant new thinking. We create new neural pathways. And we practice new thinking over and over and over. It's a renewal of the mind. Okay. And so when people ask me, does positive thinking work? Or they actually make fun of positive thinking. And I understand why. Because there's all these books on positive thinking and methods on positive thinking. And what I always answer is positive thinking does work. It does work. What happens is that when we just do it off the cuff, when we try and do it off the cuff, when we start New Year's with resolutions, I'm going to be more positive about my body, about money, about my relationships. What happens is we haven't gone in and weeded our thinking first. Okay? And so when we try and have a new positive thought, we get ambushed, right, by these lurking negative memories, thinkings, established neural pathways, if we go the neuroscientific route, established and rigid neural pathways. They ambush our attempt to have new and positive thinking about our bodies, about our money, about our relationships, about our family, about our children even. Okay, so usually the reason why positive thinking does not work is because we haven't cleaned up. As we use in dynamic meditation, we use the word clean up a lot. And if we go back to the metaphor of the garden, right, the weeding, we haven't weeded out those memories. We haven't gone back and released on those neural pathways. And so in order to do that, we've got to clean up the soil to plant new thinking, and new thinking that is joy-filled and has positivity and has promise and possibility. Again, right, the 3 P's: pause, power, positivity. Okay? So when we do that, we have access to new possibilities of ways of living. Okay, so when we talk about dynamic meditation as a garden, this is what we mean, those 3 steps. So it's very similar, and we use other forms of meditation as a base, but we also incorporate new things. And it really is a power punch of the possibility of living a new life. Okay? Well, thank you. Say yes. I'll see you soon.